Hello and welcome to a one-off video tutorial of my Datapack preparation for virtualracerschool.com for the Blancpain GT3 series on iRacing. So we're here at Bathurst Mount Panorama, of course. I'm using the Oculus Rift, pretty scary at the moment because I'm suspended in midair. But yeah, it's I've been using this for about a month or so now, so you'll be able to see where I sort of look and focus on where I drive. Um, and yeah, basically this will just be an hour preparation session, which I use for each data pack that I do, and other coaches on Virtual Racers School do the same. Just this time we've decided to record one of them so you can perhaps have a watch and see the process that we sort of undergo into putting together the data packs and creating a reasonable setup and setting a good lap time. Okay, so this is a new circuit since we've started doing these data packs, so we've not yet visited Bathurst, so we're going to have a look to see if there are any circuits with similar characteristics that we might have visited before. So we just have a look through and sort by most recent. So obviously the last week was at Donington Park. That's probably no good because it's a very high downforce setup. Obviously you got two very long straights at Bathurst, so Road Atlanta is going to be okay, I would guess. Nürburgring is also a good candidate. Monza's probably too low downforce, I would say. The full Nürburgring layout would probably be good because you have that super long straight at the end of the lap. But it's quite an old setup now, so I'm not sure if we've evolved a few elements beyond there. So obviously with the Audi R8 for this session, I'm going to use the Nürburgring one as a baseline, and potentially we can review it and come back to it and make some changes as required. But we just want a stable setup that we know works well. So I'm just going to save this as Bathurst. So Bathurst, so we don't overwrite it and mess up the Nürburgring setup. Yeah, so sprint fuel, so it gives us a decent amount to do a series of laps without, I'm sure we will crash at some point. It's kind of inevitable, especially this circuit with its notorious difficulty with the close walls and unforgiving elevations and everything else that goes with it. It's a bit of a monster. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do basically is just work ourselves gradually up to speed. I'm just going to do an hour session, so if we stop just before an hour, 10 minutes, there's 10 minutes on the clock at the moment. Basically what I've done is just configured the recording of the video and just made sure that everything's set up correctly. But this will be my first full lap. I have driven the circuit before in the past. Some nasty curb there. I believe this one's called Quarry. I did also look at the corner names before I started out here. This one's called The Cutting, I believe. You got that nasty wall there. From here on out, I'm pretty much clueless when it comes to the names. And since I'm wearing my Rift, I can't just glance at the track map. But maybe when we crash and come into the pits, I can check. I know that this left-hander is very fast, so we're just half throttling through the corners, just taking it easy into Skyline, I believe, and then the S's. Now these are very unforgiving, especially this one where the circuit drops away. Bit of a nightmare when it comes to finding a good setup, I guess. This one is called the Dipper. Yes, the Dipper. And then you've got some corner of some kind, I don't know, some elbow. And then you got a long straight. I believe this is called Conrod Straight. Got a slight bit of wheel spin as we crashed it there. If you just heard the revs rise, keeping it over to the right into the chase, I believe this chicane is called. Not sure if we want to clip that curve on the inside. Third gear through here I think works. And then final corner on the circuit. 90-degree left. Name is going to come to me at some point. Murray's corner. Okay, and that's a lap. So starting off with Hell's corner. I think that's probably second gear that we should use through there. And I've already forgotten what this straight is called now. Mountain Straight. It's come to me. Third gear into Quarry. Uphill, but there's still some nasty bumps. We're cutting. If I say it enough times, I'll remember. So I'm just kind of really gradually easing into the car, not pushing it at all hard at this point. Choosing to lift whenever I'm slightly uncertain. I think that probably is a fifth gear corner. Into Skyline. Into the S's. Second gear. Maybe third, not sure yet. If you can hear my wheel making funny noises, it's not your imagination. Having a bit of issues with it, some issues with it. So far it's not affecting the function, it's just making some funny noises. But functionally it seems to be okay. Now the gearing here seems a little bit short, to be honest. Into Murray's corner. Yeah, second gear. Surprisingly slow, that one. So obviously it's important to, in terms of eye contact, to be focusing on the apex as early as possible and then the exit of the corner as early as possible as well. So you're looking always one step ahead really, and you're looking where you want to go, not where you are. And obviously that's a good approach to have when we're too deep learning a circuit. It's not good to talk and drive, apparently. But one thing that is important to do, maybe not verbally, is to critique your driving as you sort of travel around the circuit, to be your own biggest critic. And when you get to a certain level, you're almost kind of spectating your driving, and you're critiquing what you're doing, and each corner you're kind of reviewing and assessing as you drive through it to see, to kind of speculate how you may have lost time, how you may have driven well through there, what you did right, what you did wrong. And in that sense, in that way, you can constantly improve. So I was too deep there into the dipper, so as a result I was too late to get on the power exiting, and we've lost a hell of a lot of time in the middle of the lap. So we're actually down on our first lap, so let's try and gain some time through here. We're too late on the brakes. Obviously your delta bar, if you have it visible, can show you relative to your optimal or best lap how you're doing. and you get immediate feedback on whether you've broke too early or too late. Yeah, I'm still not sure if that's best off in second or third gear. This is definitely third gear. That's... thought we were gonna... That was very frustrating. Now what I tend to do is review all of my crashes just to see what I did wrong. So it's important that you don't just kind of write off a crash as being, oh, not a big deal, or whatever. I'll just jump straight back in. It's important that you take them seriously and you look at what you did wrong and what you can do to avoid it happening again in the future. So we just run this through. So I'm obviously carrying a bit too much speed into this one at this point because I'm a little bit wide here, so I probably should be a bit closer to the apex. Clearly I'm too wide now, and so the oversteer was created there by my excess trail braking, which was something that I was doing in response to running wide. So I was trying to trail brake to bring myself back into the corner again and keep it back, tighten it up again. But obviously I overdid it. So right here I've got some oversteer. So obviously I go to catch it right about now, but it's too late. And then there's a certain point where it seems that if you get too sideways, the grip just kind of turns off, or at least it feels like it. So you either spin around fully or you may overcorrect and snap the other way. So you don't want to be getting this sideways, especially in such a corner with such a large gradient and elevation change. So another thing obviously with crashing like that is it's upset my rhythm, and now I need to kind of start again, and it's very easy to just make sure I get through there clean again. It's very easy to kind of jump back in and start pushing 100% again, but you risk just throwing it off the road once again, and you can find yourself not using your practice time very productively. So I've only given myself an hour to practice here, and that's important. That's not a lot of time really to get up to speed, and I'm expecting to get to within 99.5% of my ultimate pace around here within an hour. And obviously, in order for me to do that, I need to make everything that I do count. So it's important for me to have a very intensive mindset as I drive around. I'm constantly critiquing what I'm doing. So I was a little bit earlier to turn in there versus my previous best optimal, which meant that I was able to get on the power nice and early on the way out. Now, I kind of wish that I took the opportunity when I pitted earlier just to make the gearing a bit taller, but at the same time it's probably best that we find ourselves plateauing a bit first so we can do some consistent laps, and that way when your driving is consistent, it's a lot easier to verify whether a setup change that you're making or have made works. Because if you just make a setup change before your driving is really consistent and predictable, then you're kind of guessing as to whether or not you may have found time or lost time as a result of your driving. So it's important that we stay out and reach a point where we're able to consistently lap to within, like a few tenths, ideally. Feed the power in very, and you almost have to lift again. So I did briefly get to full throttle, but immediately I had to start lifting. There's so many elevation changes, and it really affects the attitude of the car and way the car is balanced through the corner. The car switches between understeer and oversteer constantly. There's not many circuits as demanding as this. Yeah, that probably is a second gear corner. I got a really nice exit. Kept it nice and tight. But I didn't really use all of the track on the exit, so I could afford to carry just a little bit more apex speed, and that would push me out wide and allow me to make the most of the circuit that's available to me. Into the chase. So that was nice. I think we just had a slight lift on the exit there. Second gear here. Missed the apex. Just turned it a little bit too late. Now the intensity of my sort of self-criticism is going to gradually decrease as I make fewer mistakes and get closer to the limit. So you might get a bit bored, and I don't blame you. Oh, that was quite nice. Bit of oversteer on the exit there, a bit too early on the throttle. Ooh, that was a bit close to the wall. Fourth or fifth gear, not sure. This is definitely fifth gear. Really important to have your car pointing where you want it to be through the middle part of the S's as the circuit kind of drops away and you lose all your grip. So it's important to get the car set up before you start turning in, or before the middle of the corner arrives. Yeah, gearing is definitely too short. I'm going to keep going though until I'm a bit closer to the limit. A bit too deep on the brakes there. Seem to do that all the time here. But we committed ourselves on the exit and managed to hold it together. Very late on the brakes there. Thought we were going to make it work, but we just held onto the brake pedal a bit too long and we ran out of track on the exit. So we turned in a lot sooner that time, that was good. Up onto the curb for the exit, just a bit of wheel spin. Cost us some time on the exit. You have to trail brake deep into there, just to keep the front end loaded up. Oh, we got big oversteer there. Just braking a bit too hard whilst turning in. Combination of braking and turning too hard. Let's try not let us ruin the rest of the lap. Let's focus on trying to find improvements elsewhere, even though we've blown an entire sector. Very committed there, just a bit wide in the middle of the corner. Very committed there on the brakes. Third gear. Leave it in third? No, that doesn't work. The car just doesn't rotate well enough in third, so we need second. Down into second, keep it tight, hard on the power. Nearly ran out of road on the exit, nearly found some wall, but it was okay. have a breather, take a breath, keep the car to the right. I broke a lot earlier there, which was good, but I came off the brake pedal too much. So I broke nice and early, but I didn't commit to it. I lifted off because I thought I broke too early. Got a really nice exit there, and that was because I gave up a bit of time on the entry. Just caught the rev limiter there as well. Obviously you don't want to be hitting the rev limiter, you stop accelerating as soon as that happens. Struggling to get the car turned in without inducing terminal oversteer. Keeping it pinned just to see if it's possible, and it is. Need to oh, we got some massive oversteer there. Had to get out of it completely. Yeah, second gear definitely works. The car is just more positive, it rotates better. Bit too much speed at this point. Lost a lot of time on the exit because we had to wait for the car to resettle. So this lap has been a bit scrappy, so I might just try and focus a bit more and chat a bit less. The car's just not turning in there when I brake, or when I come off the brakes it's not turning in. Maybe I need to reduce the preload. Or maybe I just need to brake a bit harder before I turn in. Rev limiter again. Nice exit though, nice exit. So notice how our apex was actually a little bit slow there, but because we had a really nice clean exit and we avoided that exit curb, we've made up all the time that we lost almost. Ooh, big oversteer on the exit. Was just on the throttle a bit too early. Yeah, I think a slight lift works better than just keeping it flat out. This is a terrifying circuit, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's scary enough just here. I can't imagine what it's like to drive in real life. Now, into this sequence you really start braking early, or you start slowing the car really early, and you never really brake hard at all. Even here, because the circuit's falling away from you, you don't have a lot of grip, so you can't afford to brake so aggressively. You've got a nice exit there, which is good. Now, we've been driving for over 20 minutes now, and I'm not really happy with the pace, so just try and increase our focus a little bit more. Second gear. Second gear allows for better rotation, so might use that again. That was good. Still missed the apex a little bit though. And again, we used that curb on the exit, but we kept the car nice and straight, so we were able to accelerate off it hard. So we started the lap quite well. very close to the wall there. Just about lifted enough to get away with it. Leave it in third. Yeah, leave it in third. Whoa, whoa. Bit slow there mid-corner, but we got on the power really aggressively to compensate for it. Oh my god. Whew. We made it through there alive. So I think we're going to try second gear again. Short shift, because the car turns right and you want to be able to commit to full throttle. Missed the apex again there, but we got a good exit. Getting a bit quicker now. Really messy on the exit there. I think a bit less preload would go a long way. Just give us that initial turn-in that we want, and we're kind of lacking at the moment. And also tall gears for that long straight. Yeah, the car just doesn't want to turn in at this point. And we've got some oversteer on the exit. And we're lapping fairly consistently now, so if we just have a look at the last few laps. I've lost my mouse. This is one of the perils of VR. There it is, it's back again. Yeah, so reasonably consistent. That last lap was certainly good relative to what we had done up to that point. But yeah, I mean, there's some obvious changes that really stand out as being an improvement. So tool gearing, and I'm going to reduce the preload to 25. It's a very slight change, but I think that's going to help with that initial off-throttle turn-in, because at the moment we don't have very good rotation there, so hopefully that will help. Just check the tyre pressures. Hot pressures are a little bit warm, in fact, so I might just decrease those just to see if we can bring those pressures down a little bit. That will lower the ride height overall slightly, but we're still okay. We're going to leave the rake as it is for now. Now this season you only need 48 litres, so I'm also going to reduce that to 48, and we'll stick with that for now. Unfortunately, I've got no idea what a good lap around here is with this car, so I just need to keep going until I feel like I've really gotten everything out of it. And hitting the rev limiter right off the bat isn't a good start. Just adjusting my rift. So we only make it into 5th there, at least on our outlap. But we've got much better rotation off throttle there already with the reduced preload. And there. So that's definitely, I mean, this is also fueled by the fact that we've now got fresher tyres. It does make a difference. Tyres are noticeably quicker right out of the box, and then a few laps in they drop off a reasonable amount before the drop off continues, but a lot more slowly. So it's kind of about timing this sequence, really. Just getting your timing right. Through the dipper there, where the circuit really drops away from you, you can just hear the front left locking up On the brakes, that's okay, as long as it's not both front wheels. Now this is where we change the gearing for this section here, so we should see it going green. But we've also reduced the pressures, so I guess it kind of offsets that effect. And also when the tyres are cold, they have a lot more drag anyway, so it might take us a few laps before we see the benefits of that taller gearing through there. But certainly in a race situation you want that headroom with the RPM in top gear, so you have the extra potential to facilitate an overtake. Nice exit there off turn 1. So the car just rotated nicely there, even though I broke quite early. Oh, we've clipped the wall. I'm just going to carry on, because I'm not sure. It was such a slight clip that it might not have actually given us any noticeable damage. So we'll carry on, see what it does. Well, we smashed into the wall now, so as I was going through there, I was thinking about whether or not to use 4th or 5th gear, because we had changed to 5th gear previously, but obviously with the new gearing it's probably best off now in 4th. So just have a look at that again. Car compresses here, and the car's already rotating quite aggressively at this point, and the fact that I committed to full throttle there only worsened the situation. So should have realised that I was in trouble and compensated before it got really bad. And a lot of driving is about anticipation, observing what's going on and listening to the signs before things get too severe, and reacting to things early, being one step ahead. Being proactive rather than reactive. Like there, for instance, I know that I always get oversteer there, so I've got the steering quite open, ready to catch oversteer. So leaving it in 4th now. Still got some oversteer there. Going to pencil that down to my driving style. See if we can just be a bit more cautious. That was nice. Car rotated really well. We gave it time to rotate. I think that was the key thing there. Let's keep it at full throttle. We can handle it. Yeah, we've definitely got a lot more rotation off the throttle now. With that lower preload. Just caught the rev limiter up into 4th, or into 3rd rather. Ooh, we're deep. I could immediately tell that we were quite deep into there because the delta bar went green very suddenly. Car run out, bring it back in, let it run out again. Up into 5th. Now you're on the brake pedal for an awful long time there on the entry to the S's. Same here. Just kind of holding onto the brake pedal and reducing the car's speed gradually, not being too aggressive. I think it's time that we found some improvement. Bit too late on the brakes there. Nice and neat. Through turn 1. Leave it in 5th or upshift into 6th before quarry, not sure. I think next time we'll try 6th. Short shift into 3rd. Turned in too late. Into 5th. Very close to the wall on the left there. But it actually benefited us. Now the car's rotating well there and then it just washed out, which is very unfortunate. Let's change this to all-time optimal lap. Still not gotten ourselves into the 3s. A little bit messy there. Sixth. Minimal benefit. Except maybe slightly less fuel used. Slowed the car a bit too much there. That was a bit messy, but fast. But I think the sliding heated the tyres a bit too much. Struggling to improve at this point. Obviously the tyres are not getting any better. That was definitely better. Hooked up with our apex, our first apex there nicely. Well, we clipped the grass, which is devastating. And we just broke too late there. Okay. So yeah, we've got about 20 minutes left. Let's switch to some low fuel running. Try and get some good lap times in for the Datapack. And potentially the video tutorial if I do one in this car. I suspect I will. I suspect the Audi will be faster than the BMW around here. At least certainly we'll lose a lot of time on the straights. I'm supposed to be saving this as a queue setup, not loading a new one. Just find my bearings so I can type this in whilst being blind. Oh, where's the... I'm totally lost here. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so what we're going to do obviously is just remove the fuel. And we're going to take note of the ride heights and put them back to what they were at prior to the change. So if we go with 10 litres, so obviously the front ride heights have increased, and so have the rears. So that's a little bit lower at the rear end, a little bit less rake. I suspect if I lower this, it will become invalid. It is indeed. So we've got a little bit less rake than our sprint setup. So I might end up adding some more rear ride height if this doesn't work out. But pressures seem to be better now as well. Everything else seems good. We'll just try this out. Now, there were a few people from week 1 saying that the iRacing supplied baseline was faster than the setup that I uploaded for the Datapack. Now that kind of set some alarm bells off in my head, so at some point towards the end of the session we'll try the iRacing baseline setup just for a lap or two, just to see and make sure that I've actually gone in the right direction with setup. And obviously it's a very personal thing. The iRacing baseline setup is a good solid foundation to work from. And you can see I don't invest a whole lot of time into these setups, but they are designed to be a good solid, I'm going to use the word foundation again, to work from. So Bob's got less fuel on board, so we can expect to see better acceleration. So our delta should go green, and it is. But the sprint fuel doesn't make too much difference, to be honest. So I'm not expecting big oversteer there. Just turned in with too much speed, basically. Okay, let's hustle. Now, my apex speed was quite slow there, which is why I got back on the throttle very aggressively. 6th gear. Massive understeer. I think we didn't slow the car down enough before we turned in. Just clipped the wall there. I don't think we've got any damage. Way too much of that curve though. Too much speed. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Too late. And we don't even have enough fuel for another lap. Okay. So we need to sort ourselves out a bit here, which this is not good enough. So if we add just a bit more fuel, I'm going to say 12 litres should be enough. I suspect driving is the problem here, not the setup. So let's just focus a bit harder. I'm going to chat a bit less. The sort of target that I've got in my head is a low 03. I think that's achievable. Getting our line all sorts of wrong there. Line is extremely important, especially through that section and this section. Tried my best to keep out of the barrier there, failed miserably. Right, let's try again. It's a very challenging combo, that's for sure. Not easy. Yeah, I think I'm going to add that rake back because I've just got a bit too much mid-corner understeer. I'm thinking about that for a while. So I'm just going to add this rake that we lost with the reduced fuel load. Just going to add that back. So we're probably slightly higher at the rear now than we are with the sprint setup, but I feel that this will just help our mid-corner rotation, because we're kind of struggling there a little bit at the moment. 15 minutes or so, less than that in fact. Not going to have time to load the R-Racing baseline. Just going to have faith in my own setup. Focus on line. Line is very important. Give yourself a wide entry into here. Carry the speed through. Let the car run out wide. That's too wide. Oh dear. Why did we choose Bathurst to record? I mean, God. Let's just choose the most difficult combo that there is. Let's not hit the wall again, that would be quite embarrassing. Alright, let's try this again. Left a lot more margin that time. Lost my rhythm completely, that's the problem. What we just need to do now is just focus on regaining that rhythm. Make sure we complete these 2 flying laps that we've got fuel for. Otherwise we're just going to get worse and worse. Now obviously it isn't a race that I'm in. Doesn't matter if I do crash. After all, the only goal of this session is to eventually do a decent lap time. I'm not trying to run a stint without incidents, but it's a good strategy to have to maintain a rhythm. And that's why you want to avoid making a big mistake and having to reset the car and having to reset your brain almost and start over. But at the same time, you know, you can't find the limits unless you push and overdo it. So that was a lot tidier, a bit too tidy. Rotate, car, why aren't you rotating? We found a good bit of time in the middle sector there, but we lost a lot on the exit. Not sure about that inside curb, to be honest. rotate, there we go. I think the issue is I've been trying to brake too late in there because my previous best sector there is too late. That's too much curb, we're in big trouble, big trouble. We kept it out of the wall, but we don't have fuel for another lap, so there's no point. Yeah, so that uphill right quarry, yeah, previously we were just braking too late, basically. Yeah, because our optimal sector was similar. But it turns out the quickest way through here is actually to brake early and get on the power early, because that helps the car rotate. Get on the power now. See how that rotates us around and up the hill. Made sure we got a good exit that time. We need to make sure that we do the same on our flyer. A series of 2 flyers. Still braking too late for that chicane. Too much of that curve on the inside. Bit too much Tokyo drift on the exit. Trying to carry too much speed. It's okay because we've got a good exit. Right, so we've got fuel for one more lap. That was good. That was sweet. That was also nice. So our optimal is now at 030. That was okay. I mean, it was good relative to optimal. It feels like there's more time to be found. Focus. A bit too late on the throttle. Not too bad. Leave in fourth gear. Up into fifth. Tease the brake pedal. Car tried to get away from me there. That was okay. We've made it. We're still alive. We're losing a bit of time, which is odd. Just a bit too late on the throttle there, but nothing major. Tyres are falling off. It's still a reasonable lap. Okay, so that was actually quite a solid lap. But rather than just be satisfied with that, what I tend to do when I have done a reasonable lap is just go straight out again and see, just see if I can get close to it or maybe improve it. To just be satisfied that I've done a decent lap isn't really good enough, and we don't really have enough time here if we're going to stick to an hour, but at least within the hour we have achieved a lap time that is reasonable. So we will carry on just to make sure with one more lap. 3.5 tenths off optimal normally would be acceptable, I would say, for a Datapack, but given the circuit and given the fact that the lap is more than 2 minutes long, I think it's actually not so bad. And the problem is, when you've only got an hour on such a long lap, you can only do 22 laps. Especially if you keep throwing it off the road. So already got off to a bad start. Let's leave nothing on the table. Say that, I was too slow on the throttle there. Didn't commit. close do you want to be to that wall? So easy for it to go wrong. So easy. I'm pretty confident that it's possible to find another half a second. It's just a matter of getting it all hooked up. Yeah, so the issue with that obviously is I just carried a little bit too much. I wouldn't say speed actually, I just cut this left-hander just a bit too much. This looks so cool in VR, by the way. It's like I'm at the top of a ski mountain with the power lines. Anyway, yeah, so I just cut this too much, which really unsettled the car. See, it's bouncing all over the place. Kept it off that wall, but then couldn't get the car stopped quite quick enough, and we ended up just clipping the wall there. So a bit of a negative note to finish on. So I'm going to have one more go. At the very least, I want to complete a lap. So we messed up turn 1 last time, so let's make sure that we get turn 1 correct. Make sure that we get a good run across the start-finish line as well. So we've got quite a long run. Just a bit too much oversteer on the exit. Still okay. That's a lot of oversteer. Okay, I think we're going to leave it there, to be honest. Clearly we'd have to push very, very hard to beat that time. Yeah, it's beatable for sure, but not without spending a good amount of time more on it. So yeah, just to finish this off, obviously you can find setups, replays, and full data packs with all of those things and telemetry on virtualracingschool.com. Make sure that you get on there and get registered. There's many other car and track combinations that you can find on there. So yeah, have a look and good luck this week. And yeah, until next time, thanks for watching.